internal build?
Here we go. Yes, we are.
Hello and welcome to the latest Project Spark live developer stream. I'm Mike Lesko, the community manager for Team Dakota, and today is one of our special lunch streams where we kind of keep it more casual. And today's a special day because it's launch day for Project Spark, the first time that we actually can't hide behind the word beta. And we have two special guests today. We have Sax and Henry. And Sax is the, I don't even know what your title is. It's so long. He's like executive producer, studio head.
Whatever title I want.
Yeah, like whatever he says. It works.
Goodness.
And Henry is, of course, is the creative director and someone who has been very sick and came in just for the stream.
Yes.
Because I told him we were going to say lots of bad things about him if he didn't. And that's the way to motivate Henry.
So if I leave, I'll be vomiting outside.
I told him if he does it on the stream, it'll probably really help our ratings. So
it's possible.
But so far, Project Spark's out. Anybody who's purchased the starter pack, one of the things that you should have seen is that you need to enter the code. We call it a 5x5 code. You need to enter the code on the. Sorry, I'm off camera a little bit. You need to enter the code there to have your stuff show up. And I think for the most part, everything's been going pretty smooth with the installation and everything. It's always tricky when you have a beta and then you have a disk and you're installing all this stuff in. There's a lot of different variables. For the most part, it seems like it's going pretty well. And we haven't seen any really big bugs, but we're going to be looking to you guys to let us know if there's anything out there that we need to jump on and try and fix. But for you guys,
I played for hours straight last night. I gained achievements. I logged on to Windows. I gained achievements there. It was a good time.
You were sending me emails at 4 a.m. Hey, you're up too?
I did, yeah. That's not untrue.
I was just checking GDEX, though. I wasn't actually doing any work. But
well, you were mailing me GDEX, so then I started checking.
So Sax,
that's what makes you sick.
That's possible.
What's up? You've been working on this a few years now, and now it's that day. And is it everything you hoped and more?
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
I dated like when the first time we pitched it was the 1st of January 2011. You weren't even born yet, Mike.
I know, right?
No, Zach might not have been born. Mike was definitely born.
You definitely had hair.
Yes. Way back then, yes.
No, we started, like, the idea was formed on that January, and we started staffing the team, and I think that June we had the first, so we're like, we're going to have to go do that.
And we started with, a bunch of cool prototypes and just sort of a little sandbox, and our first little prototype was 7 steps to an action RPG game that we used a famous name of. And we basically were able to replicate a game with gameplay in one of our big reviews in front of all the executives in 7 steps. And I think that's when people started to believe that there could be something cool here.
Yeah, we did a review with the team last night of the videos we've used through times. Like the very first internal game jam we had, like to prove to ourselves it could actually make anything. And we were watching the video last night, and it's amazing how far we've come. But it's also amazing like how many of the things that like we set out to do like are finally in this build, and it's not until now we can see it all come together. We always envision multiplayer, for example.
Yeah,
we always said, well, once we have multiplayer, then we can do all this.
And we knew that if we wanted creators, we were going to need players. So we always had a lot of play things we wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, and finally have Champions Quest and have everybody be able to play it is amazing. So it's a very sentimental, Mike, if you want an answer to that.
Yeah.
I'm not a sentimental guy. This is me sentimental.
Yeah, I mean,
if you take a good look at me, this is how I look sentimental.
I know, right? Like he's Sax is one of those guys. He like you've done well when Sax gives you an angry compliment. He has got the best angry compliment. It's like, just do the damn compliment. And
You've heard him compliment?
No, but it's always very angry.
Did you record it?
This is going to turn into a therapy session. I like it. It's free. It's amazing. I love the work. Like I really love working on a single vision for this long. That's the fun part. Like me and Henry has been together for I think 5 years now.
Yeah.
About 5 years, and like in different configurations at Xbox Live Arcade before this. And to go from like the single idea to execution with the same team, there's a bunch of other team members that we have from the beginning, is very uncommon that you get a chance to do that. Like this is the most satisfying thing I've ever worked on by far.
So one of the things I'm showing here is I've got the massive world builder pack open. So we talked about how it doubles your terrain, but one of the things we mentioned that is super impactful is it also changed the way terrain was calculated. So you can see here, I mean, this is just insanity. It's back to sort of our original vision for big world and endless worlds and linking together, and at the end of this I can put a little portal and link to another world. And I mean, I think the stuff that we're going to see from release is going to magnify by some kind of a threshold that we're going to just be blown away by. I mean, I'm getting bored of running this far. I'm going to change the material. Yeah, it's much better.
Much better. Make it a bit of black. Press up on
Yeah,
this.
make it bigger.
Yeah.
So some of the buzz we're seeing, a lot of talk around achievements, and we know
Best achievement design ever. All from Henry.
all
Not
Henry
Rob. Gotta
and
give
Rob.
credit.
I know Rob. Yeah, Henry and Rob both were like they're just these big achievement folks.
Yeah.
and-
True story. When Henry hears the achievement sound, he twitches.
Dude, I am so numb to the achievement sound now. It's like, achievement.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I have so many people just message me because of my gamer score. It's funny.
Yeah,
I
so-
follow that Stallion 83 guy who's over 1 million. He makes me look bad. So that's actually the way I keep up hope. So a couple things about the achievements is Rob and I designed them, and we definitely wanted to give people who played beta a nice jump start and give them some cool achievements. For people who are seeing things like 50,000 downloads and stuff like that, we're going to keep an eye on those numbers. We did some estimates to see where they are, and there is a chance that we will adjust those. So keep hope alive.
Keep the dream alive.
This is
What
crazy.
about the Crossroads
How far am
achievement?
So we had a meeting where we revealed the Crossroads Souls achievement, which was to beat Crossroads without getting hit. And like within seconds, people were like, you can do it with this, and then maybe Avalon, and then you can teleport, and then you can do this, and you can do that. And there were people that were legitimately concerned. So last night when I played the build, first thing I did, went home, got the Crossroads Souls achievement in the first try, and mailed everybody going, aha, you can do it.
Reap did it this morning with Carl Snow.
It's fun. With
Yeah.
Carl's Nord, wow, that's impressive.
I know.
That's really
He wanted to
impressive.
beat you.
So, how far have I even gone in the terrain here? Well, I can't see now because I'm back in edit. But that was pretty amazing.
So last week
Pretty
we had
wild.
on Jed and Schuber, and that was great because we were totally trying to trick them into promising things that haven't been announced. And that's
Oh,
always a
Nice.
kind of a great thing. What Zach? Do you remember what Jed promised? Was it ninjas or something? Or?
No. He didn't promise
Oh.
anything.
See?
Oh no, Jed. That's right. Jed did say modern would be nice. Robots also good.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, I really love robots, and we're like,
Female
robot
Astro
DLC
attacks were mentioned.
confirmed.
I think
But it
It's
was
a very subtle way to get your way.
yeah. But it's really interesting, right? And not to just say how great the art team is, because I like to put them down as much as I can. But they're really fun to have on the stream because they've got a very, very broad view, right? And a lot of people think, oh, art, they just do whatever. Like, these guys have the vision. Like, when they're doing something, whether it's concept piece or anything, they've got the entire story, right? They have to think about how this all works and fits together. So I thought it was really cool when we had them on to really kind of get that sort of perspective and stuff. And I think, so it's good to see how many people. Do you feel like a lot of people in the team have that view, or because it's a small team, but we're in so many different areas?
Whenever we do the like a new theme, like sci-fi is a good time to like to like just to hear what people are thinking about something brand new inside the Spark universe. I thought it was stunning that like Jed's perspective and Brad's perspective and Henry's perspective, my perspective, BJ that does a lot of the DLC
Yeah.
design. When you hear people pitch, they pitch the exact same thing, and
Mhm.
it happened very fast. But the people that get us there is the art team, and many times, and then Henry on a one pager, like they start coalescing. I would think the art team, like they influence a lot of how we think about things. They show the
Yeah,
possibilities
definitely.
of where we go. And
So we talk about things like sort of a foundation, right? Like if we're going to make one Codian, we don't want to just make one Codian. So we build their culture, we build their lore. We talk about Codite and what does Codite mean. And really, we haven't revealed, but I can do a little bit of a spoiler, is Codite actually means something different to every culture. It's essentially pure creation energy. And the Codians think of it as technology. The fantasy realm, people think of it as sort of this mystic power. And as we go through these different themes, we carry over things like Codite and the swirl. So the spark identity always permeates through everything. But when you build this one Codian, now you suddenly have this culture, you have this lore. You have the next Codian is much easier, and they're all tying together. And there's a sweet sort of like coalescence of how everything fits together. I remember when Moose was in here and he played Champions Quest for the first time, and you guys will see it if you pick up Champions Quest. There's a moment where you reveal a monolith, and the first thing he says is, "Oh my God, that's sci-fi!" And he started to realize sci-fi was crossing over into fantasy, and it was always planned like that. And that's
Right.
some of the magic from doing that sort of planning around the lore.
Why does he have a thing on his head?
Why not?
Why not?
That's the big question about the game. Why put the bumps in the front?
Yes, it's much better.
Isn't it?
Yeah, no, I get it.
So where's Conquer? That's always the big question. What we've been telling folks is that, and this is not untrue, we've been so heads down getting to today that we really, and there may have been a lot of discussions, but certainly not at my level, that the team's just really been focusing there. And generally where it works, and these guys can jump in if they have more info, is that once we get through this week, then the team will be able to really kind of take stock of where we are and what we need to do in our list of priorities and come up with a plan on, okay, when is all this other stuff we want to do? Because we've got a whole slate of things from Xbox 360 to Conquer to all these things that, and a whole list of additional features and things that we want to do, and figuring out what is the roadmap to get there. In a lot of cases, it takes us getting the technical folks, our programmers, engineers, to really sit down and take a deep look at what it would take. And it's not necessarily right or fair for us to kind of estimate on their behalf until they've been able to kind of look at it.
Well, yeah, if you had asked us this June about how much time we had to do something like Conquer this fall, we would have said we'll have plenty of time. And then shit happened. So,
Yeah.
And the truth is, it's taken everybody on the team every ounce of energy to produce exactly what is here and what's on the DLC map the next 2 months, basically. But that's it was an Herculean effort, like, to get to this point. So this is the first time, like you're saying, that we can breathe and we can
Right.
whatever. I think on the Conquer side, what we did identify pretty early was that Soren, tech director, was really keen on tail physics, and thought we could not ship Conquer before we get better tail mechanics.
Right on the first
And that's sort of what
years and
happens.
all
Like,
that
people
stuff,
get really
yeah.
excited when there's something new we want to do. Everybody has like a very distinct idea about what is the
What
thing
it
that's
should
missing
be,
before
yeah.
we can do
Yeah.
that, right? And Soren is just one example. From the art side, there's obviously a lot around how we render
Right.
for like characters, and from the design side, well, all of a sudden there's a bunch of mechanics that we want to include and what have you.
Right.
That's the reality of it. Like right now we're trying to figure out exactly when, why, how, what for it. Really, what we wanted to see this summer was that we want to make something with Conquer. That's what we want to do.
Right, and I think it's kind of funny because it comes back to a reoccurring theme with us, where it's not a question of what can we do and when. It's more of we're not a team that is going to, hey, let's get something out just to get it out. It's more of, okay, we want to do this. What do we have to say no, we can't do? Right? It's sort of what do we decide not to do rather than what do we decide to do.
I think if you ask the team right now, they would give you 5 different themes we should do next. Right? That they're very excited about. That they think like this is the thing that just everybody is craving, because they are craving it, and their friend, like, you know what I mean. Like there's a million things we could rally about right now. If
Right.
Jed likes ninjas, I guarantee you 90% of the team would revolt and say no, something else is the most important thing.
Right.
So our challenge has always been we have way more than we can possibly do in the next 2 months, 6 months, 12 months. Right? It's about picking the right things. This was Champions Quest that Henry is loading up now. Was a big investment for us. We took some of the best content creators offline for a long period to do this. That normally would have helped on bringing the entire experience forward in all the other areas of the game. Somebody like Rob and Stag and the guys that are doing the champions, like, they spent a tremendous amount of time on just getting the everything right. We decided as we started this we couldn't do it without doing local co-op. Like, me and Henry basically just threw a hissy fit.
That's
the
right.
best way to
We
say
did,
it.
yeah.
And I said we can't do it without local co-op. It's just not the right game without it. That didn't exist either, and that threw a wrench in everybody's plan.
Right.
Like, so, I don't know. It's never easy, but this is playing Champions Quest and having like friends and family and my kids, and like playing Champions Quest is it's a brand new experience for me in the game, where people just get like they just want to play more of a thing that's been made as a full experience. It looks great.
Right.
It's something that explains the lore, that lightly touches on the concepts of Spark. Like, we're really, really proud of that.
Yeah, and I think it fills that kind of gap, because I see a lot of people in forums and community and overall saying, hey, Project Spark's awesome, but it's these small bite-sized experiences that you do and kind of go away from. And what Champions Quest brings, and we probably haven't done as good of a job of getting the word out there, and blame that community guy, whoever that is. That's probably Zach.
You should have a hat on.
Oh yeah, I forgot my hat. I brought it in today. It's on my desk. That this actually does provide that sort of, kind of in-depth play and that persistence where you're making progress towards something.
I think too is you don't want to underestimate the champions. Having that built-in gameplay is huge. I played a level live last night, Shadow of Mordor, which was hilarious because it's like replicating Mordor from the game. It just came out, and it's got Karlsnor. And they made him super fast, and it's Karlsnor fighting all these other goblins in like this Lord of the Rings setting. And just having that sort of plug-in play, you've got this character and they've got gameplay, I think that really amps up the accessibility for a lot of people.
And it's an important proof point for the tools. This is by far the heaviest thing we've ever tested. It is the thing that pushed, from a performance perspective, a ton of work in the last 2 months on from the engineering team to get us performing on Xbox One and get like all the different nooks and crannies to work. It's a much bigger level, like physically bigger than what we've done before. So there's a ton of work in how to optimize for like these big event-based games that work on like scenario after scenario after scenario. So it helps us, the level link, this is what we stressed it the first time, like it helps us doing things like this because it proves to us and to some extent to the community what you can make with it.
Right.
But it also stresses the tool to the point that we feel we can ship.
Right, and it's also kind of a forcing function, right? When you have people that are making, devs on the team making things, and it's like level linking isn't working as they want, they're jumping up and down, and that's something that we want our community to do. And we expect them, I mean, they're already doing it, but to see more of this type of stuff from them, to actually put that stuff out, which I think is pretty cool. And there's already been some long play experiences there that I found and I get into. And I think more of these with level linking really opens the door for that. So I'm kind of excited to see what people come up with. And when we, going back to Conquer real quick, Henry, can you just talk a little bit about your sort of history with?
Well, I was involved with a lot of Rare games back when I worked at Nintendo. So I helped test and balance and just do some of the gameplay stuff with Conquer, and it's near and dear to my heart from a standpoint of the characters and things like that. So when we bring it back, we want to bring it back with the right level of detail and sort of the right level of nostalgia, but we also want to bring it back in a way that empowers people to make their own sort of adventures with Conquer. So there's a lot of goals we have around it, and we want to take our time and just do it right.
Yeah, and it's not one of those things that I know a lot of people are like, oh, hey, well, those guys are just, taking it and doing whatever. It's like, this is a team of gamers, right? Everybody here loves games, loves everything. It's what everybody talks about. It's what everybody's into. And a lot of folks, I'm only 23 years old, but some of these older guys remember when, especially Bad Fur Day came out and just loved it. Myself as well, even though I was maybe, very two years old. And we love that, and we want to play it as much as everybody else does, if not more. And so we're just huge fans of Conquer, and to have the opportunity to do something, even though we don't know exactly how that'll play out, is really what drives us here, and we're really into it. So we're like you guys. We want to do something fun and see what we can do, and we're always open to suggestions and ideas. It's kind of one of the things that teams, kind of been since day one, because it's such a community-driven project overall, that we're always very receptive for feedback and suggestions, and a great idea can come from any place, right? It's kind of how the team operates.
Yeah.
Yes, Welby, you're twice as old as me, so you're 6. No, you're 46. But
so what are some questions coming through there?
So people have there's a lot of different questions. A lot of people talking about, one thing that came up was kind of interesting, was more kid-friendly like props and assets. And I was trying to imagine, like the way I look at it is that, we're kind of a game that's kind of focused on all ages. So if we're doing our job right, something that would be great for kids to use would also be something that our hardcore creators would find useful as well. And I don't know what's coming down the pike. I know we have more plans for primitives, but things along those lines. But it's kind of a good perspective for somebody to bring up.
Yeah, I think for my kids, the the sci-fi pack is what they lust over. Like they couldn't wait for that to get out. They've seen it here a couple of times when they drag them into work, and last night that's all they wanted to do last night. They did not want to play Champions Quest. They did not want to do anything.
Yeah.
They just wanted to play with the sci-fi assets. Took the assembly of the big indoor space, put it down, built two Codian, two of the what's called Astrotechs.
Oh,
I
yeah.
built two Astrotechs, but made them themselves. I didn't want to take the pre-made guys because I wanted to change them slightly.
Did they play with the bases and snap them
yeah,
together
and then they
stuff?
put the
Yeah.
bases in, and then they just put thousands of zombies in.
Nice.
And then they marched around. Loved
Right.
it. Put Land Creator on as the brain so they could make terrain, and then played for hours. Right? So, but I think the sci-fi, everybody has a particular fantasy that speaks to them. So, from a kid-friendly perspective, I think we're not any particular age. You can make adult games, you can make kids games. I don't think we try not to be too specific about it. It's more about the fantasy that we're trying to portray, and like that, the mining fantasy. I can't believe how they got their mind racing. Like, that was just
Right.
what they wanted. Then they are disappointed we don't have traditional aliens.
Really?
They would want to lobby for distinct aliens.
Ah.
I've said, just don't believe in aliens, I guess.
Well,
So
the
wait,
Codians are kind of aliens,
I know.
but
so
they're
they didn't
shrouded.
think the
so-
Codians
I
didn't
told them
really.
they should take a goblin and they should just color him.
Yeah, that's true.
Cosmo is pretty.
They're too
pretty
smart for
alien.
that though. No, they're like no. God knows where they get it.
I know.
Must be the
And then they
most,
went back to the grind again.
But so the Codian though, they didn't consider that to be alien enough for them.
No, apparently not. I think alien for that age means like 3 heads, something with some fingers.
Oh, okay, so there you go. Thin gray man or whatever that is from.
Yes. The other
from
thing
XCOM.
that from our perspective means more about from the approachability is local co-op. Was huge for us to get in. Like I said it in the concept of Champions Quest, but the overall goal was that people on the same screen can have an experience together and easy.
Right.
Now, if you just throw 2 characters in, make them play 1 and 2, then the camera will automatically scale. You can run around and do whatever you want to in that level. And that's what they spent all last night doing. Right? I think we've never had that level of sheriff, like you can share
Right.
stuff. If you're not ready for a multiplayer session, and you just want to fool around, then like the local co-op stuff is enabling a lot of experiences.
It was really funny at convention, specifically at the most recent PAX Prime. That's something I saw a lot of was people, a parent and a kid, a father and his daughter or whatever. They really were getting sucked into playing it co-op, and that to me is really helped cement that like this is really something here that was, it validated that it was the right call because it certainly was not easy to do and get that in with everything else we had going on. But I think it was important to get that there. And when you see that, it's like, okay,
Should
that
tell a
was
story about co-op. It's like the most absurd story of why co-op got right before Christmas. And Soren, tech director, I asked him like as a challenge. And I said you can't do it.
now he does everything.
And then Soren goes, well, I'm not going anywhere for Christmas. Everybody usually has like that week off between Christmas and New Year's.
Right.
But Soren had convinced his wife that he needed to go to work every day. So, and that's what he spent his week between Christmas and New Year's was doing the prototype for local co-op.
Really?
To go through all these scenarios and actually coming up with a prototype for it, and we took that and that's what we implemented. But it's only because Soren apparently doesn't like Christmas and New Year's and his family.
Right.
And he accepts the challenge readily.
That is really funny.
Or maybe that he knew that it was the right call.
Yeah,
I'm not
and
sure that
then
makes
when he showed it to everybody, people just were just running through their brains like the billions of things they could do with it, showing all the secrets.
So what? As we kind of go forward here, we have a pretty good cadence of DLC that we're gonna continue to release and roll out. We also obviously we're gonna be doing some we call them QFEs, but they're minor, sort of less significant updates to fix minor bugs and things like that that'll be coming
our
out.
first QFE, like we were going through a review of it this morning, and believe it or not, we're getting ready to release like an update to what we know is breaking. There's 200 issues fixed, like 200 bugs that went into it. It's supposed to be a small releases, but like people have been really busy.
Yeah, I
Since
guess.
we submitted to CERT, and there's a ton of just little fixes that are going in now. Right now, what we're really looking for is like the big things that once we're in the wild that we see breaking
Right.
consistently. We're gonna pick those up and then incorporate them into the next release, which should be we hope to submit to cert later this year.
Yeah, so pretty soon getting that out. But and we'll continue with that stuff as necessary, but so what's next big wise, right? Like what is we really haven't talked about the roadmap because, well, we've been focused on getting to today. What do you guys see it maybe in general terms, if you can't give specifics, like is it focus on features, is it focus on more themes, or where do you see the direction that we're going to be trying to head?
Well, I mean, I think, we've talked about there's more to come for sci-fi. Mike and you guys in your mail have teased about wolves, and that brings quadrupeds to the game, which is a big thing. So, we're looking at evaluating what the community wants. We're looking at some features that we left on the table that we really wanted to do, like user-generated leaderboards, changing some of the stuff with the marketplace and the feeds and things like that, celebrating users more in depth. So, there's a lot of things around that area where, we just want to basically take things, look at the community, review where we are, what we can do better. How far into Champions Quest do we want to keep going? What kind of stuff can we continue to do evolving Crossroads with the additional themes? We've obviously incorporated sci-fi into Crossroads to some extent, but is there an entirely different sci-fi opportunity for Crossroads out there? Like, those are all things we want feedback on. We want to talk to the community. We want to talk to the advisory group. And we want to look at the data and just see what people are really digging and keep on, multiplying that.
So this is a really good question.
Yeah.
The Fourverse here asks, will Project Spark run on Win 10? And I know we haven't given anything official, but I think...
Well, according to
unofficially, it
Stormhammer...
already runs on
Yeah, so what we're seeing from the community is they're saying with a tech demo, I mean, I haven't personally tried it, and I'm sure we have some people that are starting to look into it now that we've released, that they said it's been running, I think Swarmhammer, I don't know if Swarmhammer was in chat here, but he said he was running it on the tech demo that's out, and that it was...
And he was resizing windows and doing all kinds of great stuff with the resolution, too.
I think the upside to us being on this many different configuration platforms, whatever, tablet, touch, mouse, keyboard, joypad, we're quite flexible. So it's more a matter of bugs, really. The thing that's going to really unlock on Windows 10 is the DX12 implementation. That in time for Windows 10 coming out, I assume that we'll get that. But it yields a great speed up for all native applications. So we can't wait to get to 10 and just really see it. But like you guys, we can install the previews and we can test against it. It's testing well. It's looking good. So.
But I'm going to roll the dice and buy Avalon.
Nice. Do it live.
I am.
Nice.
Ah, show me token.
You realize that
This is
Zach's
incredible.
account, so he's
Yeah.
probably...
You can't. You have to take the first one.
I need Zach's password.
Don't do it, man. It's internal, dude. It just comes out of your paycheck.
Oh, now I'm stuck.
Yeah, see, Zach's not
Take the
moving.
top
He's too
one.
smart.
The zero.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you still have to give the password. You screwed.
Man, I want
For some
Avalon.
strange reason, I haven't connected my credit card to my internal account.
Really?
I know.
It seems like a great opportunity.
Yes. This is like a rite of passage.
Right. Yeah, once, it's all about,
Just
generating
get a good,
sales
like,
and revenue.
cashback rewards card and tie it over.
See, there you go, right?
And then profit.
Exactly. And then see if you can get Raul to approve that expense report, because he's really stingy. But,
So, Sax, what are some of the levels that you've been seeing the community make? I know you talked about the Cube game. That was a pretty funny story, the Cube platformer.
What was the name?
Oh, Tedious Blue.
What was the name of that one?
Tedious Blue.
Tedious Blue.
Tedious Blue, yeah. Loved him. So the mechanics were just spot on. There's a lot, like from our Xbox Live Arcade days, both me and Henry have an appreciation for like precise
Platforming, yeah.
precise platforming with like few well executed mechanics, which is really good, which is really well done. I think I guess yesterday we had a chance to demo for Bill Gates.
oh, yeah.
And with Brad Reed and me and a bunch of other guys from
What was that like?
Well, I
mean,
think
was
I
it-
think he's technically the world's second richest man now.
Oh,
So, it's not what it used to be.
Yeah, the pressure was off.
When Warren Buffett take it over?
Yeah.
No, I think the dude from Mexico.
Oh yes, the media can.
Yep.
So it was fantastic. Like because again, he's the good news about Xbox is that he's more of a consumer than he's an expert in this, right? So he sees it from a consumer angle, and he sees a lot of things as a kid that's a sort of an age that would really enjoy this. And it was super fun because it uses so many of the things that we really care about here, both at Xbox and at Microsoft, on like how do we get these eager purchases to go across the different screens? How do we get it so if I make something on Xbox, it also sort of automatically shows up over on Windows? And how do I support touch but don't forsake the precision of my mouse and keyboard? And like a lot of those things that are really like when we set out to do Project Spark, we didn't necessarily think we were going to solve all these issues, but along the way it became like this is a real barrier. Like I can't tell people they have to work with touch, even though I really like it, and vice versa. Like, I can't tell people that like it's actually much better with mouse keyboard when a joypad is the only thing I can't do. And those things are like they're near and dear to everybody. It's hard, like we, as a platform company, we're used to trying to support like, the broadest possible amount of people that want to get engaged. So in that sense, it's really exciting. It's proof positive if you can get it and do it in a beautiful package. Some of the community games that we've played recently, we showed the community trailer that's not released yet, is it? No, it's not released. It's coming out next week. Where there was a bunch of levels I'd never seen before. Where I made a note of it as I looked at them and going, I haven't seen that. Where the hell did that come from?
Well, Invisible Dougie did that, or Doogie did that amazing trailer on YouTube just the other day too.
Right. Yes. The kind of the fan, the community.
There was
created.
levels there I hadn't seen. There was Rustic Racer that got put up, which is a super cool racing game. I played through some shooter last night that somebody on the Spark forums asked for some feedback on. That was like this crazy sci-fi shooter. I mean, there's just some stuff out there that's just you could get lost in for like a severe amount of time now.
Yesterday, like one of the ones we spent time on yesterday, me and Reed, as we were going over and doing the Bill Gates demo. There was something in the feed that just caught our eye and going, me and Dad and our first world or something like that.
Really?
And we opened it up,
Cool.
and it was based on the tutorial. You could see, like we had all the sort of the structure of the tutorial, but it had expanded out into like a quest and characters and a village and tunnels.
Wow.
And it was super cool. Like those stories, like it just makes you. It just all makes it worthwhile. It's
Yeah,
very
that-
exciting.
that
when,
is-
when,
that is-
when people get that feeling of making that first game. I've often talked about when we get people excited here at Microsoft, like or at Xbox about like why we should make Project Spark. It's like a lot of like if you're a game maker, you know the feeling you get from making.
Right.
Like just the notion that you have a chance to give that to everybody, that everybody get a chance to like to get that feeling of making and sharing and getting that feedback and being proud of what you're making is just unbelievable. Like there's nothing quite like it. Like after 22 years
Yeah.
I've been doing this. That's why we keep doing it. Is that you just
Yeah.
can't get enough of that.
Well, it's funny because I was talking to Matt Booty yesterday, and we were talking about sort of what's so exciting about it coming out and everything. And Miyamoto-san gave me some good advice when we were showing Super Mario 64, and it was basically, find the satisfaction in the smiles from your players. And I've never seen so much pride and so many smiles than when we show Spark to people, and when people get to play Spark, and when we put everybody's level in the spotlight on our Twitch streams and things like that, the amount of pride, and you can just see them in the chat just going crazy. It's an actual emotional thing, and very few games can do that. So that's what I think most proud about.
I think we spoke to the team last night about like sort of marking the occasion of getting to release, and the thing that's the thing that I'm excited about now is we've spent so much time very inward focused with a lot of things under our belt, right? And if we make a big investment in Champions Quest, well, until it gets out, nobody can sort of appreciate that. Now it's all out, right? And we understand our roadmap for the immediate future. So now it's time to listen. Right? That's exciting. Like we have room in our schedule to actually incorporate what we see people are needing, what they're wanting. We have a ton of ideas about what we think it is. we all think that our tutorial, for example, ends too abruptly, too early, and it's supposed to branch. Like you're supposed to be able to pick directions like a tech tree.
And we want more minor things like, I
yeah.
just want an enemy. How do you do it?
Yeah, and we want the tutorial to be like so in the moment as you need it, just there. None of that we sort of have quite figured out where to go, and we don't really know if that's what people need either. Same with Champions Quest, we love it, and planning is obviously beginning like to what are we gonna do for the next episode, right?
Right.
But the truth is, if everybody says, "Screw you guys, we don't care about Champions Quest," then we should make it.
Right.
We're not making this for ourselves. We're making it because it matters for the whole, like for the Project Spark platform, right?
Yeah, and it's sort of self-policing and a kind of a forcing function in that ultimately we need to make the stuff that the community wants.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not going to make any sense. So you guys really ultimately control that with what you unlock with credits or what you purchase with tokens. So
I think like at
And
some
what
point,
levels
like,
they make out there.
yeah.
Like I say this a lot, you really want to give us a bunch of feedback, we look and we play all the levels you guys make. So, like the stuff that you're making when we see things like Rust Plague doing like really elaborate attached characters, well maybe that's an area to invest in if we see a lot of those.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really big thing. Make those levels and we'll play them.
I saw somebody making a load runner the other day with a
Oh,
ladder
wow.
climb animation.
Oh wow.
With Kinect.
Yeah. There was another level that had a ladder.
It reminded
climb.
me that our plans around Kinect, we put sort of a V.1 out there to see like what the interest really is in recording your own animations, and but we never really had time to go in depth to see like what do people need in order to make it meaningful.
Yeah.
But seeing that is the first time I've seen a Kinect animation incorporated into making a game,
Yeah.
and it was integral because that's the only way they could get the ladder climb.
And we know we want to
Yeah.
separate audio, and I've gotten feedback from Coastal saying, I need longer audio time so I can finish my rides.
was that Abra that did the ladder?
I believe it was.
Because his big thing was that he's like,
sitting in the stream, that's it.
yeah, he was saying, look, we really need IK. And this is why, and I was trying to kind of let these guys know, like, look, show us that you will do it, and that becomes an easier narrative. Say, look, I did this, and it took me all this, but that's how much I want this. It would be so much greater if you guys could make it easier. And I think that stuff helps kind of prioritize like what it is that we need to do, because we don't want to spend a lot of time on something that people aren't going to use,
Yeah.
right?
So was it Apple that made it?
Yeah, he did the
Okay.
ladder code and connect the animations.
Excellent. So I think
And the crouch mechanics.
Yeah, the crouch mechanics. That one game
yeah.
for the contest, the Ghouls and Ghosts type of game, that was
Cool
incredible.
game,
Yeah. All right, I'm not going to spoil any more CQ.
Yeah, we went through all the games for the ARM contest there. Like they were fantastic. Like there was some really really inventive stuff.
Yeah.
I find it really tough to get through and stay on top of everything that comes out because there's just so much that's coming out and so much good stuff. And that's, of course, falls on poor Zach now, kind of running the feature feed to make sure.
Well, there is, but there's an achievement now for playing for 10 hours or something, right?
Oh, there you
And a whole
go.
bunch of game over tiles. So.
I mean, I was playing just ultimate frisbee. Like, I'm not somebody that will play a game for a little bit and go. I want to get in. So and you can
That
ask
game was
Zach.
awesome. The
I was
X
playing that.
button
And I'm
and
totally
the
in.
Y button are switched around, but that game was incredible.
I was just
That
thought
was
that was
like-
awesome.
Henry just dropped some gold right there. Switch the X and the Y button.
Ooh, wow! That is just—that's what you get with an experienced creative
That
director
was-
right there. That's the
That
level.
was the button.
He
that
can't
just
help
didn't-
himself.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was amazing though. It was really good.
No, I thought it was awesome. I just totally played that until
So I
I
think-
won. I'm like, nope.
So go back to the ladder example. What it shows is the things that are missing, like from making that a complete experience. But it also shows that it adds a ton to that particular game, that particular animation got in, and like 10% better would actually be, like yield a lot of benefits in there. Right?
Right.
Some of the things that we don't like is like how you invoke the animation as an emote, limits how it can never be chained together. It can never.
Right.
We can't tween between
Yeah.
them. There's a ton of things we can't do because of the way it was implemented. But again, we put it in and go. Let's just see what happens, right? And now's the time to look at what happens.
Yeah, so I think, it's great if you guys have examples of stuff that you make and games you make that you say, man, it would be so much, I could do this 10 times faster if we had X. I think that's going to be a compelling sort of pitch for Zach and I to kind of forward to these guys, although they pretty much play everything themselves somehow. I don't know how you guys do it.
I think the 10 times faster is one. That's on one axis. way more compelling is this is going to make my game better. Like I think, unfortunately, in making games, there is no substitute for time. Like you can make efficient, but there's no substitute.
Right.
But there's certain things you can't overcome. And
Right.
there are things in our tool set where you hit a wall and you go, I can't proceed in a way that my game looks good when I try to do this thing. Right? Those are like we're still in the mode, I would say, of looking for those things that limit people from making the game. Like the absolute barrier that you just can't overcome.
But don't you think that given enough time, right, an infinite amount of time, that people can make pretty much anything?
Sure.
Because I've never seen anything that these guys haven't, when they've set their mind to do, our
Yeah,
corporations,
you know what I
they've
saw
done it.
yesterday?
Agreed. Yeah.
You know what I
You're
saw
correct.
yesterday that
Yeah.
everybody's been asking about? A real first-person camera where you see the body. It's out there. Somebody shared it.
Really?
Yep. And people have been saying, "Oh, how do you do it? You
How do you
put
do
a
it?
camera in it. They put cameras inside and stuff. You should check it out.
Really?
What's it called?
It's true first-person camera.
Wow.
Should play. Oh, we're in
Oh,
a-
no, I know. Yeah, that's why I can't go through.
We should play in the production booth.
We should. Well, that'll be our
Sacked.
Thursday.
Way
That'll
to
be
go,
our
Zach.
Thursday stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually, in
We
theory,
were ready yesterday to demo Bloody Ninja 2. Look it.
really?
It was
Nice.
the next UDC up in the list of things
Dude,
we're going through.
I went in the
and I
community
thought
chat.
it would be a good one to show.
I went in the community chat and they were afraid to talk to me about that game. They're like, "There's a game out there you guys might moderate. I can't tell Henry." And I'm like, "Bloody Ninja?" They're like, "Oh."
That's funny.
Like, yes, I played it. It kicks ass.
It's
Xbox
very cool.
One draw distance.
Yeah, the stuff calling out. So it's been improved upon. I'd like to get it a little bit further. I was working on something just last night where the draw distance was kind of catching up with me. I don't know if anybody's seen the Starship Enterprise level. That was really sweet, but I flew out halfway through and my ship started to disappear. So I talked to Jason about that. I don't know, every day or
Ultimately,
two.
we want
So it's definitely something we want to look
we want
at.
players to have control over the draw distance themselves. Right now, we have set it to what makes from a performance perspective.
Right.
Sort of like sense. There's no reason why we don't give more control. There's just trade-offs, and I think the pro creator packs, like where we start showing more of the stats of what's actually going on behind the scenes, is a good place to add functionality like that, where you get more control over the draw distance. But it's mainly just to save on an average level performance-wise. It starts hurting us tremendously if we draw
Right.
past. I don't know what the draw distance is right now, 500 meters, I think. It's not
I think
shabby.
he raised it a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, 700 meters. Like that is a pretty ridiculous draw distance for most things, but you can easily construct something that just doesn't work. Would you say what
All
we
right,
say to
anybody who's
people, just
sensitive, look
scale your
away.
shit down and you can see twice as well.
Just scale it really down, unless you're using thin pyramids, in which case you can only scale them down so much. So I think, and it's something for the community to think
Is it
about. Do you see it more as a performance issue, or do you see it more as the limitations? Because we have what is effectively an artificial limitation to keep anybody from accidentally making a bad experience. And obviously, as we move forward and put out more, especially builder packs and creator packs,
Well, yeah,
we can make that.
Initially, that was part of the idea. Was it's hard to manage all of that stuff when
Yeah.
making a game, and memory management and performance and draw distance and things like that. It's not
Why are
easy.
you
It takes a
shooting
lot of
squirrels?
time. Why not? Again, why not? One of the things I worked on a
As
game
Kim
with
said,
Rob.
sometimes you just have to murder some squirrels.
I worked on a game with Rob, and he's like, "Our level is crashing every time." And 4 hours later, he found out a sword from a cinematic that played earlier that was 45 meg stayed in memory, right? So we wanted to try and be conscientious about that ground level of entry and everything, but we are slowly introducing things. There's some performance meters and things like that in the World Builders pack. And as Zach said, as things go, we want to give people more and more control over these type of things. I think with sci-fi out there, with some of the things we eventually get around to stuff that we talked about, like terrain tinting, all the character customization things, I'm seeing more and more diverse levels. I'm seeing more and more unique levels. And when you ask that question about what are we thinking about moving forward, yeah, that's one of the things we're thinking about moving forward, is making sure there's more diversity and uniquely you things about your levels that you make.
So we're almost out of time because this is supposed to be the lunch stream. So the promise is that people can have like 5 minutes to go to lunch real quick afterwards, which you guys won't get, but that's right. So
We started late.
yeah, that's right.
We did.
I
Mike
mean,
always starts late.
Totally Zach's fault, even though he was sitting here waiting for us. But I'm still going to blame him. One quick question, and this is more. I think level of question. This is more. I would aim this more at like sort of the Reeb level. Bradley Reeb, who's the lead designer on Spark. big question about the ability to alter and swap out clothes and hairstyle through code. Now, right
yeah,
now
it's something
they
he
can.
really wants, but yeah, we need to have the code titles to support that.
Now they can
And
work around
it's
it.
a lot of effort.
They
yeah,
can
you can
swap
work
in.
yeah, you can do that, but I mean, you can get little pops and stuff like that if you don't do position at position and the
Right.
frames are off and stuff like that. So it's something that's on the roadmap, but there's a lot of parameters. So the question is, do we do something and we go all in and we do lots and lots of tile parameters, or is there sort of a middle ground where we can do sort of the core ones? I know there's a bunch of Dragon Ball Z games where you switch out to superpower heroes. So there's definitely some really fun workarounds, and there's definitely stuff you can do. But it would be super powerful if you could do it all from code.
Yeah.
Swarm Hammer on Team Dakota. So
What is that?
technically no,
Make it
but I
simple.
feel
Shrink
like
it just a little.
most of our
And then
core
you
community
cut it
members
from-
might as well be on the team with
Yeah.
what they do and how much they know, and more than me, sometimes more than kind of any of us here. But
The entire game is in me and Henry's head. And that's how we keep employed because nobody else knows.
it's really
So-
it's. But it you gotta admit, like the vision, like I've never, and I'm not just saying this because I don't want you to fire me, because I know your finger's always over that button whenever Henry and I stream. But the vision, it really feels like for all the teams I've been on to have like the vision. This is really the team where I felt like you could talk to anybody and everybody has pretty much the same vision, and there might be a little, but the core vision is the same from anybody you walk up to, any random desk.
Yeah, I think the challenge is that the vision is sort of something that is ingrained in Team Dakota now. It's a difficult elevator pitch. It's something that frankly, when we pitch it, a lot of people are like, "Nuh-uh, you're not gonna be able to do that," right? So there's those challenges, but really at the end of the day, it's about letting everyone be able to create. And I touched on it a little bit in my blog. Whether that was just pure play and just dinking around in a sandbox or doodling, right? It's about creating play, and that was sort of the heart of it. And what we sort of realized was, well, when people start making play, what do they want to do? They start making rules. They start making games. How many people with 5 of their friends made a new tag game outside, right? And things like that. So that's why it was a natural extension to take Kodu and turn it into something that was very profoundly game making. Take things like the plateau brush and make it really good for level design, right? But when you take that a step further, our mission isn't complete, and we don't stop just from people creating and making things. They need to make great things, engaging things, entertaining things. And that's a journey that I think is never going to end. And that's part of the new themes and adding quadrupeds and adding hit stalls to our combat and new animation, blunt animations when you buy different packs. It's about making it so that at the end of the day, people are becoming better and better and better game makers and better creators.
This is really cool.
Cool.
I didn't know you could do that with the shrinking sphere.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I
So they
stole
were
that from Rusty.
So they were asking, and I wanted to share some of the pain I get with you guys, just
Thank
because
you.
I can, and you guys are trapped here.
Nothing quite.
So
like
what
that.
they're asking me is, Mike, who is the most valuable community member? And I'm like, well, I could list about 20 in different areas, and
That's pretty moving.
see, so this is
What
what
does that
happened.
mean?
So I
I'm not going to say who's the most valuable community member, but I will say Messcat has a friggin' bat signal. Like, somebody on Twitter's like, I don't know how to, and here's Messcat.
So
Right?
that was it. I said, look, honestly, I'll give you a straight answer. I had to pick
So we
one.
need more bat signals.
Mescad would be the one that has had the most
He's
impact.
got bat signals. He's got bat signals.
But I was also saying, like, just last night while sitting around, I don't know, doing something, and I just put up the credits level, and I was just letting
Yeah.
it run and just kind of watching it, waiting for an email or something. And I don't know, I was just mesmerized by it, like just
Yeah.
the leaves and like I'm just like,
Credits
how
level
does
is
Yeah.
awesome.
she
Danielle's
think?
level is incredible.
Like, how
Yeah.
does she think of this stuff? Like, just each little thing. I'm like, that's so perfect, that moving there. And where does that come
And
from?
Tragans was talking to me again last night on Twitter. I'm hoping he's coming back and doing.
Yeah, he said he wanted to
know.
know what the update is for languages.
Yeah, I know. So the problem a lot of people are running into that we need to look into is essentially people want the English language even though they're in a different region. And I believe that's sort of a platform thing that a lot of people are asking for right now. So I would encourage people to go to xbox.com and use the voting and the forums for feedback and stuff like that. And we can look at it on a game level and see if we can support it independently as well.
We are allowed, I think we're allowed to have a language selection in the very front, like
Right,
Lego
so
Games
we can
does.
probably, so we can look into that on our game level. But like I said, I've been seeing
That's
on
good
Reddit
feedback.
and stuff, people are looking at that
Yeah.
on a bunch of games,
Yeah.
and they're talking about platform level stuff
Okay.
and doing voting in the forums too. So
Yeah.
so join in on those as well.
Yeah,
I think like
Yeah.
we try to. I wouldn't want to point to anybody that's the most important, because people have, like, they have helped us in so many very distinct ways. In
Absolutely.
like
Moose
making
is amazing.
it's not like you should say
Eris.
everybody should make 100+ tutorials and that's the only way to be valuable.
I love Swarmhammer. He makes games that I can beat
Well,
him at.
and that's kind of what that was my first answer. Is I could
Yeah.
list 20 off the top of my head with
Yeah.
superlatives on where they're just amazing and what they've done to
Yeah.
really move the game forward.
We're the only team that's ever had trade shows where it's community members that come in and do the trade shows, and we thought that was a logical thing to do, and it's going to be a thing that the other teams are going to be emulating, right? But you can only do that if not only there's a trust between like the team and the community, but also that people have to be like super passionate to travel across the world
Yeah.
to do this, and even if it is leaving the Oregon coast for the first time, or it's flying out from Baltimore,
And it's
or
funny.
from island of somewhere in Greece.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'll talk to other people on
It's like,
Xbox,
this
on
is bizarre.
Xbox team, and they'll be like, "Wow, so these guys are willing to do it." And my
I'm just
answer is
entertaining
like,
myself at this
these
point.
guys can't wait to go and demo it. And that's the sort of thing when you have
Share
folks
what
that
we
are
did
so
yesterday.
excited that it's really cool, and we're really fortunate to have, a really kind of strong and large core community that come out and do that because they genuinely enjoy it, and it's one of those things that you
Yeah.
can't do unless you do
I
actually
can't
love
shout
it.
out to enough people. I mean, what was it? Lady Lex made that really.
no, Lady
cool,
Laren.
Lady Laren made that really cool.
With You had a bay?
I
or-
did. I got my own harbor. That was pretty
Harbor.
sweet. You got your hat shop.
Yep.
I think Team Dakota needs to do something like that for the community, and
That would
just-
be great.
and just show off like what we think about all the community members, because it was so cool how she put everybody's sort of personality into it, and I just go through levels all the time, and there's Abra's putting out new stuff all the time. I still can't hype Onomatopoeia's bowling level more. Like, that level needs to really catch fire. That was incredible, and I think that's the thing about the community. There's people helping behind the scenes. There's people that are prolific with all their levels, and they make 5 or 6. There's people who make one amazing level. Like, all of these people, and it's just the summation of all of that is what makes Project Spark what it is. And we talk about the community all the time around the office. We know the names.
It's like a fantasy sports league. Like,
it
we're
is
always
in some
following
ways, yeah,
who everybody.
It is in some ways, and it's amazing. And you talked to me, Mike. We had I had a question for you yesterday of how often should I reply to certain things, and you said, well, most people don't expect a reply, and I'm like, well, damn it, when they tweet me, they expect a reply, and I know the people I'm replying to, and like I know the games they made, and it's just an important thing for Project Spark, because it's those people and it is the community that make it personal. They make it emotional.
And one thing that I think was really interesting, and just to call out, like, Fred, who is the guy who's running project-spark.org, and behind that, and has been to everything. He didn't make the last PAX Prime, but he was at PAX East, he was at SDCC. He really gets out there and does a lot of work. He doesn't spend a lot of time in game, but he is basically doing a lot. He's really kind of a facilitator with the community. And this is what I really love, because these are kind of the problems that I think about, focusing on community engagement. Lady Laren was trying to figure out how does she make a place for Fred, who doesn't necessarily have a lot of great levels.
Yeah.
And, and so what she did was she just kind of put up a bunch of signs and said, Fred for mayor.
That was
And,
cool.
and I was like, that is so brilliant. She solved, like,
That was cool.
she was trying to solve the same thing I am. Like, how do you call out those guys that maybe aren't doing that? And the idea is that it's an ecosystem. It's this huge community, and there's a place for everybody who wants to contribute. And to me, being focused on community, that is so exciting and so awesome. That it's just really good. It's kind of
it's one of
gets
the
me
things
up in the morning.
we talked about when we started doing this game is social media was part of what made the world ready for Project Spark. When I used to ship a game at Nintendo, it would be like, people talk about what's the difference between TVs and movies, right? You make a TV show, you get the ratings back the next week, you see a live studio audience. That's really what it's like now. You're making a game for a live studio audience. You get the ratings back the next day, right? When we released the game at Nintendo, we would put it out, and a month or two later, we would know how we were doing. And nowadays it's all live. It's all happening in real time, and it's a big change. And I pride everything we did for Project Spark as being hopefully, if not the catalyst, one of the catalysts for letting people know, like, you can change things, you can make an impact, you can actually, bring things to life. Cliffy B had a fantastic quote recently talking about his game, where he essentially said, games are as good as how many YouTube videos they generate nowadays, right? And that just shows how powerful the community is and how important the community is to be, something that's actually part of the game design itself. So for Project Spark, I see the community as part of the game design.
Right. I think one of the things that in the Microsoft Stories article that I thought was really interesting was what Sachs was talking about with, you had this YouTube phenomenon, but it didn't happen just in and of itself. It was because of the proliferation of cell phone and video and how suddenly everybody could do that.
Right, but it was even more than that. Like, it fostered this ability where it was like, sure, the next Francis Ford Coppola wasn't, putting his movie out. It was a Lolcats video that somebody thought was funny. It was that guy who saw that mysterious light in the sky and then creeped people out, right, with his narrative of it. And it was those other things that showed, yes, there is those Clerks movies as well as Transformers, right? And that's really what I see from indie gaming and Project Spark is the Blair Witches, the Clerks, and, the AAAs, the Call of Duties. Like, those genres that we missed. Like, at Nintendo, we had a fishing RPG that I loved, right? Like, I want to see those genres survive. I want to see them live. But, a lot of people aren't going to fund a fishing RPG today. So, like, let's give people a venue to do that and keep that part of the industry going.
Right, and I think, it's where the industry is going, like it or not, right? Like, that's where it's there, and I feel like we're a little bit ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we sent out, we narrowed down, like, a couple of levels we wanted to talk about, and I keep going back to bowling. And, before Connect Sports Rivals, like, the platform didn't have a bowling game, but they actually did in Project Spark. And when you think about that sort of diversity of games, that's how you can accomplish it nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely, and
it's also great for me, like, one of the things we set out as a goal was, why is live doesn't have to be this silent thing, right? When I play Halo and I get headshot and I'm fighting in a competitive thing, live really does come to life. But why is it, like, now your thing's in the dashboard, leaderboards for your friends right on the main screen? Like, you should always feel like that community is there. You should always feel like Xbox Live is actually alive. And something like Spark with, hundreds of thousands, millions of people creating and adding something to the live ecosystem is another huge win.
So here's a good question for Sachs. I know the answer, but I'm going to set you up with this. They're saying that Project Spark needs, a $500 million budget. And I was like, Sachs would disagree. Sachs likes small, focused, and, you have a philosophy that if you get too big, you sort of lose some of the magic and the secret sauce that allows you to make something great, right? Or now you're pitching for
would I want
million?
500 million personally? Is that the question?
No, for the project.
I think the size of team is really important for something like this. That everybody, you said before, you can ask anybody and they know why they're making it, and they know like how it should be made, and they know the care that needs to be put into it in order for it to be at the quality we would want. You can't do that with a 200-man team or a 300-man team. We're not a small team by any means. We are about 80 people.
Well, AAA standards, that's pretty small. I mean...
Yeah, but like there is a law of diminishing returns. I've run studios that are in the 250-man range, and I would venture to say we are way more productive than most of those studios because everybody knows what they're doing. That doesn't mean we don't make mistakes or anything. It just means you actually know what everybody's doing. And maybe it's just me being a control freak or Henry being a control freak, or maybe it's just there's actually a different way to make it. The other thing is, I don't know, like more money means like you need to invest even more in like the simplest of things, right? I think we like that we can put out a Champions Quest and we can honestly say that we did the best we could on that. Let's just see how the community reacts, and we'll figure out if we put a quarter of the team on it, 10% of it, 100%, no percent, right? That's really empowering. You can't do that with a Destiny-sized team. You're in that boat, like, and you're making that game. Like, there's no other way than doing that game. I really like the flexibility we have.
And it's interesting because there's not, I've got to say everybody's going to the same goal on the team. There's not a lot of different agendas, but In reality, there is. Production is really focused on getting things done. Design is focused on making things awesome.
Jesse.
Community, we're focused on having a good narrative that we can talk to people. QA wants to get the bugs, and there's just almost this scrum that happens, and it's, for the most part, a pretty friendly scrum, as we're all sort of pushing in different ways, and I think when that's balanced,
Right.
you end up with something really good and a lot of checks and balances, but everybody has the same ultimate goal, because we're a relatively small team, and we want to make sure that, hey, this needs to be good. This needs to be something that consumers like.
It's a difficult question. Like, would we want the Project Spark Super Bowl ad? Sure, I would. But in the same vein, like when you go over to the camera system and you talk to Tom, and he lives and breathes and feels such a sense of pride around the camera system, that's meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And just like the way you can talk to just kind of anybody on the team about something, and there's somebody who's sort of the expert on that and owns that, and it's not, well, here's the guy that is now managing a team of 15 people that are working on that.
Yeah, and you see a lot of people are the expert on it not because they have to or it's their job, it's because they want to be the expert on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of personal pride. Like you said, you had half leaked something about a wolf.
I don't know, like, there was something that
So I'm not gonna say
went
what
out.
it is then. So, but like when I saw that thing that you leaked on for the first time, like I was stunned. That showcase level just was so well put together on the, and because I know there's only a few people that are working on this, like that they are getting better every time they release something,
Right.
and you can see it in the releases, like how they're getting more and more comfortable in what they're doing. They feel the ownership of it. That's worth way more to me than having 10 of those teams that can produce 10 times as fast.
Right,
And every pack that comes out is a huge deal. Everybody here cares and celebrates it. And, BJ is messaging me on Facebook talking about how excited he is. This pack is coming out. And, it's a great feeling. And it really is sort of, handing the torch over to the world when we do stuff like that.
And I got to say, like, BJ and Tara and, Jason Cowan and the whole kind of content team, from my perspective, they're working on putting out content on a platform that's really moving, right? Everything's changing. They seem to have just so dialed that in over the past couple of months that I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, ask Rob about Champions Quest while level linking's being developed on the fly. Which, again, to go to the passion of the team, Rob messaged me like 18 times last night asking when the code was ready because he couldn't wait to play Champions Quest at home after he just lived it for like 400,000 hours.
Like that?
Is the code ready? Is the code ready? We get our code? Where's the code? I want to play.
I don't know. That kind of worries me a bit.
Rob.
I mean, Rob, go watch some football or something, man.
He was watching football.
Wait, isn't he?
He's not a Hawks fan. He's a Giants fan.
He's a Giants fan. Yeah,
So-
that's tough for me.
I have been able to just get under his skin for the last 3 years, and now he's unbearable. He wears his Eli Manning shirt every day.
Yeah, but we beat you out of the fantasy football league. So come on now.
That is true. I gave up.
So you can't say you got
So
one
you
up on
care?
Rob.
I don't. It
You
sucks.
have to beat him on the fantasy football.
That is true.
So yes, what the wolf thing Henry was alluding to, which wasn't really alluded to until just now, was Agent 9, Needy Chew had put out a nice little, I think you saw it, Sax, that little image there of she had done
No,
with
I
the
didn't
moon.
see it. In the mail we sent out to the beta users, it mentioned the wolf.
Oh, right, yeah, so that was there. Oh, I thought you were referring
No, I hadn't seen that.
because I replied and said the full moon makes me want to howl.
Ah.
And everybody's like, I know what you did there. Those who kind of had guesses.
Yeah, no, you had it in the beta email.
Who wrote that? Zach, did you write that?
That's something people are asking a lot about too. Did the beta gift come through today?
So the beta gift. So here's an interesting thing. I'll give you guys some insight, right? So we have over 1 million people that were in beta, and we have what we want to give them, and it's gonna involve 1 or more days of Spark Premium, and it's gonna involve
More than one
1,000
credit?
or more. Yeah, 1 or more credits. And to do that, we have to run a script that goes through to each account and grants them that. But because it's 2 different things, we have to do that twice. So hey, yeah, no problem, right? Everything's quick. This is the modern age. No, oh my God, to even do 10,000 folks, that's probably about 30 minutes. So we calculated it. If we started it this morning, which we wanted to do,
Right.
it was going to take 100 hours to get through to do that with everybody.
Wow.
So working with Chris Phillips and Matt Harley on
Is that why Chris was like walking away from the soda machine with like 8 sodas in his hand?
Yeah.
Wow.
So working with them to figure out something else and kind of do that. So we're hoping within a day, or hopefully end of the day today, we'll have a message on that on when it'll be. We have some creative ideas on how we can maybe do it. It may take us a day or so, but you're going to get that, and it's also going to include everybody who was in the beta prior to October 5th at 11:59 p.m. PDT will get this, and it will also include Spark Premium. So if you don't have Spark Premium now, and you're lamenting the fact that there's some things that can only be purchased with tokens, I'm going to say, hey, we always love it when you spend money and buy things with tokens. You may want to wait till you get Spark Premium, because then you can buy, I believe, pretty much everything now except Spark Premium itself with credits.
Yeah.
So when that thing happens,
And if you got in on the sweet deal before.
oh right, yeah,
Yeah,
you got that stuff, and then if you bought, obviously, if you
So,
bought the starter pack, you
Talking
have premium.
talking about the community, I don't know if anybody's seen this. Buried in the goals of the challenges here, there's a couple of cool homages to some of our community members in our goals.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about this. We were, we were talking about this a long time ago. It's basically in the footsteps of some folks in the community that had really kind of set the bar and kind of been the first to reach certain goals and milestones, and they've been renamed challenges after them.
Yep.
All right, Henry, Sachs
right.
is getting, he's squirming, so I
I
think
saw
we
that.
better wrap up before
I
we
probably
get
should have food.
that finger on the button. You know, it's always there. We're always mindful of that. You don't know about that. He's always, every stream he's ready.
I figured out it's like a pit. I click it and you just
Oh,
evacuate.
that explains the desk. We were wondering why that was. Okay, well, that explains it all. All right, guys, we'll be back on Thursday at 3 p.m. PDT with the next stream. And that stream is on, what is that? I think Jesse and Henry?
Jesse and Henry.
Possibly.
Jesse and Henry.
And Henry. See, Henry was like sick. I don't want to go in. We get him in, and suddenly he's on fire. He's
I know.
telling stories. He's all in there. I
It's
see
all
it.
about the people. He's a people person.
This
You
has
know,
Mountain Dew in it.
are you a people
just can't see. No, I'm not actually.
So in the meantime,
I could never work retail well.
follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and go to projectspark.com. We have forums there. Give us your feedback. If you run into any bugs or issues, or even little things like text issues, list those out for us so we can get that. What you want to see for DLC, talk to us. And just get with other people in the community. Get together, start playing some multiplayer, work together and stuff.
Sing
There's a lot of good
Kumbaya.
folks there.
Multiplayer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Make it
multiplayer.
worthwhile.
Yeah, make it worth all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into that for sure.
Yeah.
All right, thanks guys, and we'll see you in a couple days.